This session is called Pitch the Media, and it's going to be a very interesting session here, originating at Pioneers, where we have 3 media representatives here, journalists, who will be pitched by 4 different startups who'll try to convince them to get their story printed. And this is going to be an interactive session where you have a say as well. But before we go into details, I would like to introduce the one person who will help the startups while they're pitching, kind of their guardian angel on stage. So please welcome from Tech.eu, Natalie Novick. So, Natalie, why is the whole thing, why are we doing this here? Why is it relevant?
Well, we're here because storytelling and entrepreneurship is really important. And the media is a great tool to help amplify the story you want to tell. But only if you can convince them to come along with you and to share your story. So that's what we're going to try to test out today. Hopefully you can learn from the experiences of our brave 4 guinea pig startups and take something away with you.
All right, and you have the possibility to participate here as well. We are using Slido. If you go to slido.com with the hashtag Pioneers'18 and then select Academy, you will have a poll, which we call the Newsometer. So maybe we can have a look how that looks. You'll have the possibility to choose and change your opinion in real time, how you feel about the startup and the story. So the best thing you can tell is, I hope they make a movie based on this story. Then it goes into, I'll probably continue reading if it was an article, to my grandma kind of tells better stories, and then good night everyone, I'm falling asleep. Pick your answer depending on the startup, how you feel about it. It's a good feedback curve for the startups.
Right.
Should we announce your media colleagues on stage?
Yes, well,
right.
OK, well, thank you all so much for coming. And please really open up Slido and give us the feedback. It's really important. And it's very helpful for the startup. So I would like to invite my colleagues up on stage. So first, we have Alice Bonasio from TechTrends, Tom Atkinson from TechTrends, and Danny Crichton from TechCrunch.
I leave the stage to you.
OK,
all right.
Great. Thank you. So how this works is each startup has roughly 3 minutes to do a pitch. Then we're going to do a Q&A. We're going to have a look at the news meter and see what you guys all thought. And then at the end of the 10 minutes, each one of you will let us know if you would pitch that story and you would run with it. Ready? OK, so let's get started. And we're going to invite our first startup. And I would like to welcome to the stage Mitya.
Hi there. Is this thing on? Yeah, OK. My name is Mitya, and I'm a co-founder of a company called Blab Blab. We help kids develop their speaking abilities. Once upon a time, there were 4 boys. They had one thing in common. They had speech impediment, and they were bullied at school for that. They went to speech therapy, and they remember it as a very boring process. There were sheets of paper, lists of words and sounds, and they had to drill every single day for 30 minutes or an hour, and it was quite painful. When these 4 boys, I'm one of them, grew up, we aligned on a mission. We met when we were adults, and we aligned on a mission that we want to help kids with speech delay, articulation issues, kids who have low vocabulary, non-verbal kids with Down syndrome, autism. And we created a product, an app, where real kids show words, show sounds, they sing, they show speech exercises. And we engage children by using technology, Snapchat-like filters. It's voice-activated. We have created more than 1,000 bonus videos just to keep kids engaged into these activities. This is how it works. in June 2017. It was, really amazing. Feedback was pouring in, and today we are 11 months after. We are #1 speech therapy app in the US market. How big of a problem is it, you might ask? 1 in 4 kids actually needs professional help with speech and language. It's a very dated industry. Parents wait for up to 2 years to get their first appointment. Kids are not motivated to practice nowadays. You know, they like YouTube, they like Minecraft, things like that. And parents are actively searching for digital resources, videos, and stuff. In 11 months after launch, we have reached 10,000 paying customers. We have conversion of 14%. Other numbers are for maybe investor speech, but not for media. I'm really honored and happy to be here, also because we have an amazing team, really talented people. We got seed money from really smart investors. They advise us a lot. And here's a bonus video of how kids are using our app. And here's a really short story. We have a longer video of this. This is Daniel. He was one of the first. Users, and we opened communication for him. And and that's it. To the questions.
I had a speech pathologist when I was in grade school as well, and went through some of the similar process. How do you get the feedback loop right from the app to the students so they can continually improve their sounds?
We don't yet. Okay. Actually, our app is intended to be used by parent and the child. Basically, what we have feedback implemented is currently voice activation. So if a child tries to do something, we move the progress bar and we award him. So it's currently it really works really well with nonverbal kids and kids that are starting to speech. We are building other things as we go. Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned that you had already quite a fair number of paying customers,
yes.
But do you have a free option, or is it after a while you have to start paying?
Yeah, we've been testing that. Currently, we have a 7-day free trial. So when you download Speech Blobs on the App Store, you start with a 7-day free trial, and it's Apple subscription. So this is how it works.
Okay. And how do you measure progress
of a child?
Yeah.
Basically, currently, how we measure if our children are progressing is by reading emails from therapists and reviews. We got 1,500 emails just from therapists from the States. Story like Daniel, we have tens of those, just describing, you know, for example, I will quote you. I use this with nonverbal kids with autism, and most of them showed increased verbalizing right away. Right. These are the stories, these are the reviews. They pour in, and sometimes we just smile and post it on Slack so the whole team can enjoy it. So
And do you have any relationship with the therapist community?
Yeah, sure. We work with 2 therapists. We have one on our team, one in the States. And we go to events. For example, in November, we were in LA, ASHA convention. We had a booth there, and they were coming to our booth and saying, "Speech Blobs!" And we felt like celebrities, you know. That's amazing. And we basically were on calls with them all the time, because every therapist has its own ways of solving problems. And we realized that we need to be in touch with, you know, as many of them as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
Right, and let's see what Slido says about your product here. What do the votes say? Can we get the votes up here?
Sounds like there's some nonverbal communication from the audience, and maybe they need
like,
this app.
All right.
Okay.
Wow.
What languages does the app support?
Sorry?
What languages does the app support?
We started with the biggest market, American English. We get feedback from Australia and UK that this is not really okay. But
they have a speech impediment, don't you know, in the UK, right? I mean,
we're known to slur our words.
To be honest, parts of our app are basically exercises that can be used in any language. And we get Filipinos and Indian kids who get to be exposed to American English, and some people use it for that reason. But it wasn't designed for that in the first place.
Well, and we also have a great personal story here, that you have personal experience with this, and your product has come out of that experience.
Yeah, we are taking our business personally, definitely.
How do you think your childhood would have been improved if you had this technology?
My child?
Yeah.
I have 3 kids, three sons, and the youngest one is 1.5, and at 9 months he started using it. So he's doing all the sounds, also ribbit, which is not in Slovenian language. It would be rega, rega, quack, but he says ribbit in American English.
Okay.
So he's using it. We are using it with so it's also for typical kids to basically boost their development. Yeah.
Okay.
And what do the next 2 years look like for the company?
Sorry?
The next 2 years look like for the company?
We have a lot of work based on feedback. We know we need to take care for the children who are, really, really non-verbal, to learn them gestures, so just the first languages. And then further on the age spectrum, development spectrum, we need to support sentences and stuff like that. So we need to broaden the horizon of our product. But yeah, we are basically growing, and
we're out of time, but if you could each please let us know and let Mitja know, would you run a story on his product?
I'd run it on TechCrunch.com.
Yeah, I'd run that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would. There's a good personal angle to it,
Absolutely.
And it's obviously a needed product. So, well done.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Everyone, please give a big round of applause for Mitja. Thank you all for your votes. It seems like you also would read an article on it, and thank you. Next, we're going to welcome to the stage Philip of Phase.
I think you'd have to be written, yeah.
You would.
Thank you, Natalie. Hey, good afternoon. Am I just getting started? Are you guys ready?
Ready.
Cool. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Hi, my name is Philip. I'm founder and CEO of Base. And I would actually want to start on a positive note. There's really something positive here for smokers in the room. Your little cigarette by now is only the 2nd largest killer in the world. The largest is actually what we eat, or rather, what we don't eat. By far the most important for your body, for your health, wellness, fitness is what you put into your body, the nutrients, or micro and macronutrients, which you put or oftentimes don't put into the body. In the US alone, you see there are 600,000 people dead per year due to not getting the right nutrients. We at Base have set out to change that. We want to make sure that you get the right nutrients tailored to your specific needs. Now you might say, wait, stop. Isn't there this huge industry out there, dietary supplements, 100 billion plus and whatever, that is actually meant to take care of that? And I worked in that industry, and so I can actually tell you, no. Sad truth is, this whole money is pretty much wasted. It's basically expensive pee, excuse my words. Why is that? Because it's really set up like in the past century, right? Nobody knows what nutrients does he actually need, do they work, how do I combine them, how to change dosing after some time. It's like from the Middle Ages, right? So we want to change that. And we are changing that by being the first startup to actually bring data to dietary supplementation. By far the most meaningful data out there that you can get is the micronutrient status, so vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, and all of that in your blood. We have a little super convenient device with which the user takes 3 drops of blood, sends it off to our lab, where we have a proprietary lab platform that runs the whole analysis, sends this off into into your app to get your current micronutrient snapshot, basically. We use that app as well to learn more about you, your lifestyle, dietary intake, all of that, increasingly automated through APIs, obviously. And then the algorithms determine, hey, is there a need? Do you need actual dietary supplements? And quite frankly, in more than 90% of cases, it's the fact that people need it. Significant deficiencies out there. In that case, we send you a personalized dietary supplement pack straight to your home to make it as convenient for you as possible to really take action and do all that. And obviously, not do it once, but it's really about a cycle, right? So a cycle consisting out of testing, dosing, retesting, and our algorithm then actually learn about your nutrient biochemistry and can adapt the next dosing according to what kind of responder type you are, so to make it more and more personalized. We have a team based in Berlin and Boston, because we've just launched actually onto the US market just now, and are planning the European launch later this year. Thanks as well again for Pioneers to making us Health Startup of the Year. Really appreciate. And well, here at Pioneers, it's all about talking to a lot of people, obviously talking to you now, and meeting investors, sales partnerships, and just ask you to spread the word. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
So I have a question.
Please do.
So it's sort of like, in my view, it's sort of like dating, right? Your app wants to make me healthier. But if I'm doing really well, I'm balanced on nutrition, I'm getting what I need, I don't need your product at all. I don't need you to send me a pill pack if I'm eating properly, theoretically. So there's a bit of, in my view, a conflict of interest from the fact that you want to send me a good, and you're also the one doing the testing. So how would you respond to that?
Yeah, you're basically saying we're crowding out good behavior.
Yes.
Exactly. I get what you're saying. Yep. You said as well a good word, theoretically.
Yep.
Because you're right. In theory, you don't need that, except for one of two nutrients which you likely still might need, vitamin D. In winter, fatty acids, even in that case, oftentimes not at optimal. The other thing is, quite frankly, in theory, that might work. In practice, 95% of people don't live the kind of lifestyle that gets them the nutritious food that takes care of that. And that's not just what I'm saying as a nice little marketing pitch. I'm just looking at the data. Our own proprietary data, but as well the studies out there. Significant deficiencies. And we want to be the ones that help to fill those gaps, while at the same time, obviously, giving as well recommendations on how to eat better.
So thinking of the data, presumably you have a perfect human that we all need to be like somewhere as a data sample. Where do you get that? How do you know what I should be like?
Yeah, what do you benchmark?
Or what I could be like? Because there's got to be a ground zero.
Super good question, actually. And so the starting point here really is the current medical guidelines, the current studies, which are out there. We are using established markers and all of that, based on which the dosing happens. At the same time, for some, but not all nutrients, let's be frank, there is as well further research that goes into, so what is not just normal, but what is optimal? What is the sweet spot given a specific peer group as well, right? So it should be really individual. So we are applying that as well. And for where it doesn't exist, obviously, that's part of the further IP development that we have in front of us.
Yeah, and just thinking of data, what safeguards are you putting in place? Because this is highly personal data as well. So on that, you obviously need to use it and to keep it. But what?
Absolutely. And so we are asking actually our users as well for their informed consent to use it, obviously in an anonymized way. But yes, we want to use it because the benefit is immense. If we can get a significant volume of data on that to determine what is the optimal sweet spot for you specifically, this would be huge for you, but as well for quite a few others here in the room. And so I think we should use it. And at the same time, I assure you, and it's obviously key for our credibility, highest industry standard data protection.
And just on that, you said that you're rolling out in the US. Do you have to get FDA approval and all that? Where are you with regulation?
So on the blood device, yes, and that's given. On the supplement side, actually no, because we are basically just helping you to take those supplements, which are food, in a smarter way. It's not medicine. It's personalized nutrition,
basically. So you can roll out and scale without that.
I'm not supposed to give you advice, but I think you come from a pharmaceutical background.
Yeah.
Stop using the word dose.
Might be why a third of the people are falling asleep.
It's too medical. I think what you're trying to do is appeal to humans who want to improve themselves.
Or maybe I should say shot, and then that goes up even
Yes.
higher.
Have you have good case studies of people who have used the supplements and have had lifestyle changes or positive effects have gone on in their lives?
Yeah, we have obviously run pilots,
Yeah.
as well with companies, as well like Google, for example, we did a pilot. And yes, not just in terms of improving the blood work, so that's only the intermediate step, but in terms of the ultimate outcome, right? So do I subjectively feel more relaxed or more energetic? Yes, we do have that. We don't have it yet in a volume that I can, statistically significant publish that and do all that. That's obviously the ultimate end goal, but on a smaller volume scale, yes, absolutely, because that's super interesting. And once again, actually, as well, feeds back into the question: what's actually the optimal level there?
Yeah,
right.
And on that, are you partnering up with any academic institutions to process that data like independently as well, or is it all done in-house at the moment with your research team, or do you have a research team?
So at the moment, this is only done with the university in Switzerland, where as well some of the core IP was developed. But that is definitely on the roadmap. I mean, ultimately what we obviously need and very soon want to do is a study that basically looks at no supplementation, generic supplementation, and personalized supplementation in terms of ultimate health outcomes.
Yes.
Because that should really prove the case that, from our perspective, quite frankly, the biggest lever there is to improve preventive healthcare for sure, if not healthcare overall, is really making sure you get all the fuel you need. And I can show you some amazing studies out there that show if you are optimal, it's going to be awesome for you.
Your guardian angel
Sorry,
is there.
the guardian angel is patting me on the shoulder.
So it looks like 43% of you would continue reading, but what do the tech press say?
I'd say that I would be interested in the story, especially if you could get personal testimonies of what that looks like on the ground. It's like, in theory, that sounds good, but I think we'd need a personal hook to make it into a story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or I'd go for that, what is that perfect digital human, and go from that sort of superhuman angle, and then look at, modifying ourselves to be better.
I'd probably be a no. I think on the consumer side, there's a lot of competitors in this space. And maybe it would be great as part of like a market, talking about the 8 or 10 companies in this space, but I'd probably decline to continue.
So we're going to continue. And with you, Danny, I'm going to have a follow-up conversation.
Yes,
because
exactly.
the rest out there, it's not tech. It's just marketing.
Yes.
We should have that conversation. Cool.
Great.
Well then.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Philip.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. Well, let's welcome our next startup. Susan, would you please come to the stage?
Hi, everyone. Hi, Alice, Tom, Danny. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here. And first, please meet Adam.
I am working with an artificial intelligence company called Crichton. I am a humanoid robot that can do all kinds of things. Things such as dance, play soccer, storytelling, and even become a doctor. Since Crichton is an artificial intelligence company, my team is working hard to make me smarter and more interactive so that I can help with all kinds of challenges.
So we are Crichton. We are a startup company that's based in New York City. And since founded in 2017, we now currently are based in Austin, Beijing, Hong Kong, and Taipei. Our offerings are AI platform, RD platform, our AI trader, Anita, our AI robot, Adam, you've already met, and also our AI core banking solutions for anti-money laundering, cybersecurity, as well as non-performing loans. Basically, back in 2017, a group of industry leaders who were formerly working at IBM for over 10 years, they decided to start this company, and that's where we are right now. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are, why you should care, and what we do. As mentioned earlier, our team was founded by a group of former IBM chief scientists and distinguished researchers. And currently, just within a short 1 year, we have expanded to 52 employees globally. And all of our employees, we have at least 1 master's degree. 9 of them, they have PhD education. And all of us, we all graduated from prestigious universities around the globe. It's truly a leading team in this space. And the first reason I think you guys, the media and also the audience, should care about our company is because our advanced research R&D, research and development. Basically, even though the company is super new, we only have 1 short year of history, but our team, they have been working in this field for about over 10 years. Their previous research have been covered by various of different media, and also we have been making a lot of different contributions, both academically and also to the industry. Our team was the first to build the first AI security systems for the US government on insider threats and social media monitoring, the DAPA projects. Our team also were really of interest of different government regulations. And so now let me talk a little bit about our technology. Why do we call the graphene technology the true next generation true AI technology? Basically, to understand that, we need to see how the intelligence has evolved throughout the direction from the basic memory representations, sensors, towards the more complicated comprehension strategy. And currently in the market, whenever we talk about artificial intelligence, it's basically mapped towards how the human brain actually works. And you can see most of the artificial intelligence companies right now in the market, they're usually focused on the machine learning as well as the robotic cognition tools. But those things that's highlighted in the red boxes are the ones that's rarely being focused on, and that's where our technology really have our advantage here. And here are just a few key technologies we have. Based on those really advanced, really innovative technology, we have our offerings, which is our main graphene AI platform. Based on that, we have our different industry platforms, and then we build our solutions, including the anti-money laundering, non-performing loans, as well as cybersecurity and RegTech on top of that layer. And then we also provide our professional services to help banks and help different financial institutions to install those services at their organization. Currently, we offer our AI platform, our solutions, and also our cognitive robots, mostly in the financial services industry. Also, we're expanding in the healthcare industry. And here are just a few offerings graphene right now we're having, including cybersecurity, robot advisor, and I'm going to move forward to talk a little bit about one of our other offerings, which is an initiative was trying to make trading accessible to any average person. So right now, if someone like you, and well, probably like me, if I go to a bank, say, I want to invest, and no one would even talk to me. But we are developing those AI traders. We give them different personalities, different strategies, so they can help anyone be able to really invest in any industry they're interested in. And awesome. And you have already met our Adam, our AI robot, who's being trained to become a doctor. Basically, we try to integrate this graph technology, the graph database, into him. And whenever you ask him a question about, hey, I have a headache today, he is able to really go into the database and tell you what's the possible symptoms you are having and why you might be having that. And these are just a few other examples of how you can utilize our technology. And we're right in the heart of New York City, and our goal is to become one of the leading global AI companies in financial and also in healthcare within the next 3 to 5 years. We would like to be able to contribute to our understanding as a species, as the human species, to really contribute to our understanding of the brain. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's see what the audience thinks.
So I'll go first, and I don't have any questions.
I'm not sure what the audience thinks either.
I think you present very, very well, and you have a lot of great raw ingredients on the table, but I have no idea what you have just built here. This is like the definition of every email I get every single day about artificial intelligence today, which is, here's a list of 20 things, and we're focusing on 18 of them. And we're in financial services and in healthcare, which from my perspective there's no relation unless you actually explain why there should be a relation between these two, between diagnosing a medical condition and trading Google's shares. And then there's this robot here, which I guess is in the healthcare space, but we saw him in a conference room. So I'm just saying, I'm with the audience. I'm now looking at this, but it's like I have no idea what's going on here or what the story is of the company, other than there's clearly a really smart researcher at the center of it, which is, I think, part of a kernel of a good story.
Yeah.
So the ingredients are there, but so there's no question. But I think it'd be hard for me to cover in any way this sort of story.
I would love to sit with you over a cup of coffee and tell you a little bit more about what we do. Yeah, thank you for the feedback.
I'm very much of the same view. I think that I came away with the impression that you're all very qualified, and that's great as a client. But as somebody who is trying to tell a story, I can't see a hook. So I think that it's about finding in that wealth of information something that relates to a person. Like, why would the person on the street care about what you do, and how does that make their life better? Like the investment thing, for example, that could be something potentially there, but that was one of the things that you touched upon, whereas you need to pick your story and pitch. When you pitch that one angle, and you go with that. You have to commit, I'd say.
Totally.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think following on from that, and a human connection to what you do. No doubt you do some amazing things, but the person reading wants to know how that affects them.
Yeah.
And I think you might want to abandon the financial services and separate it from the medical.
Unless it makes you money.
Well, and at the end, you talk about how you can interact with the robot, and it might be able to tell you what the reason is that you have a headache. And that kind of makes it feel like, well, this is actually something that, on a human level, I can actually interact with this.
Totally.
And that's kind of about how to bring in the human element and really to use that to tell the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we just have so much we can offer, and I just want to tell you everything, but I totally get it. In the future, I'll definitely remember to focus on maybe just one single story, one product, so it's easier for the audience to...
I think it's always true in media, less is more.
Less is more. Cut more away, cut more away, cut more away.
And then we will expand upon it. Once we start that conversation, we can learn more.
You bring the bones,
it.
we'll bring the flesh.
Awesome.
Exactly. Yes.
Great. And based on that pitch, what would you run with this story?
I wouldn't run because I couldn't find the story unless we were already on a previous, like we had a relationship, then I would help you find that story. But as something cold pitched, no.
No, it would take too much work to find it.
I'm in the same boat, although the video could be interesting as a video story, so to be fair.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Susan.
you.
I think that really gave the audience a lot to think about in terms of developing their own story, and we really appreciate you sharing this today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Very brave in sharing. And we're going to meet our final startup of the afternoon. So please, Thomas, please join us.
Thank you. Hello. So I'm the founder of Equator Aircraft. We're a small outfit out of Norway, and we design and build experimental aircraft, or air vehicles, if you will. So the vision that we have is that you in the future will be able to live in a place like this and have access to clean, silent, and great transportation opportunities that takes care of the most important commodity that we have, which is time. So flying is actually quite simple, but nobody realizes how simple it is, because the aerospace industry has done a really bad job at creating products that show how easy it is. So down in the corner there, you can see a 2017 model, 220,000 euro aircraft, state of the art. And my big question is, can you deal with this? And the bigger question, do you want to deal with that? So the challenges that we saw very early on in our project was that we We saw that airports, you have to get away from the airports, of course. They're a hassle. How can we make flying super easy for you? How can we increase the usability, but still fly really far? These two things usually don't coexist very well in aircraft. How can we make it green and silent? Not to mention, how can we make a good living doing this? So our first product is a hybrid electric multi-purpose amphibious aircraft. It is a green, silent, and very efficient seaplane compared to the seaplanes. It has a lot of space, so you can bring bicycles, skis. You can even sleep inside the thing, so it's way bigger than many of the other aircraft on the market. And I really want to show you now the history, so I'm going to take a minute and talk you through some of the history of the design. We've been doing this for 8 years. Design started out as a university degree, and I decided after my degree that I wanted to continue doing this, so I've tried as well as we can to do this as an open source volunteering effort. So we have a big network of people all around the world who has contributed to the design. It was truthfully built in a garage, this prototype, and using cheap methods to get the prototype done, just make it as clear as possible that we can go on and develop the next tooling for the real aircraft in a proper way. The electric hybrid system has also been developed with a partner in Germany. We tested it for the first time last year, and now the aircraft is established at the airport, and we're doing the first tests. And as you can see, it's a sleek aircraft with some serious possibilities, we think. And here's the location, about 1 hour north of Oslo. And in a moment, you will see something that we haven't published yet, which is some of the first jumps that we did on the runway about a month ago. So there we have that, which is quite important as well. I'm clicking. I think you have to press outside the bar.
There we go.
The Slido is not going to go well now.
Keep talking.
Keep going.
So I have a couple of quick questions while we're waiting. So how high can it fly?
Well, this is a common light aircraft, so typically 3,000 meters or 10,000 feet would be the typical height that you fly in.
And what sort of speed do you get in it?
220 kilometers per hour approximately, so you can cover a large distance with electric even.
Got it.
So here we are. So the question I wanted to ask was, what do we need? We need about 3 million euros to create the baseline tooling within 2021, where most of those funds, or half of those funds, will go to employing a lot of those people in a network, the most talented people in our network. So we know that we can't approach just the GA environment and do a big growth in the company. So we're looking at making the aircraft as a baseline to develop it as a base for different solutions. So being an electric, we can also go to VTOL or the drone industry as well, which we are working on now, try to develop further. Scalability, of course, once you've learned the tricks of the trade and you know how to do aircraft, scaling it up to 4, 6, 8-seat versions of the plane to accommodate commercial networks of electric planes in the future is also a possibility. So basically, we have 4 business areas that we want to get into. I've mentioned 3 of them, but I haven't talked too much about the hybrid, because we're making the hybrid system as well. So that could potentially be a standalone product. And we are raising in a couple of weeks on Seeders. So please register for Seeders if you'd like to take part in buying equity and stock in our company. And follow us on social media, because we publish a lot of information about what's going on. We have a very open process. So if you're interested in this stuff, it's a place to go. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
So who's the end customer for this? I mean, is it how mass market is? I mean, I think private planes, and I think that's so cool, but it's never going to be for me.
Private planes is in the, they sell about 4,000 to 5,000 globally a year. Mm-hmm. And that's why I said, like, approaching the GA market. If I take 5 to 10% of that market, I'm the biggest producer in the world of light aircraft, which is a potential. But I'm also saying that We could also see a business-to-business situation as well, because the aircraft could be used, for instance, in taxi travel and taxi systems as well. So that's important. But for any aerospace startup, I think you have to get products flying, because the trust issue is like the main thing. And you can't push a product into the market that's 99.9%. It has to be 100%, and it has to be certified. And this, and you have to start somewhere, and that's where you probably have to start to get people buying the aircraft and flying the aircraft, and then you learn from that. And
forgive me, I might have missed but how does this change, apart from being cheaper? How does this change flying?
How does this change flying?
Yeah.
It brings the hobby paradigm we are in now, I think, towards a mobility paradigm, because the aircraft is way more practical. I didn't have time to show you the interior and stuff, but the fact that you can bring more stuff, and you can do it silently, means that you can fly directly from the shore of a city, for instance, and out back for a trip, or you can go surfing, you know, and travel with equipment that you normally can't bring in aircraft. So
and it would be easier to learn to fly such an aircraft, as you say. It's like
we're trying to bring in some automation, autonomous systems to help the pilot. So that's the important point, and making it easier to fly.
Semi-drone.
Yeah, that's also why we would really like to work towards the drone industry, because we think it would be a feedback of technology back to the manned solutions as well.
How do you think about safety? Single propeller, what happens if it breaks, whatever.
It's a really cool thing with hybrid, though, because you have a backup. If the generator fails, you still have some energy in the battery pack, so that's a very good thing. But of course, single-engine aircraft are always going to be more unsafe than a multi-engine aircraft, but it is going to be safer than your normal aircraft. Plus, it's a seaplane, so flying over mountainous regions, you can probably get down into the water if you need to.
What kind of licensing would you need in order to fly? Do you have to have a pilot's license?
This one, you would need an LSA license in the US, and in Europe, it would be a microlight license, which are quite cheap. It's in the 4,000, 5,000 euro range, so it's not that bad. And price-wise, we're probably going to be in the region of other carbon composite aircraft at the same weight class, so that's going to be 200,000, 220,000 euros.
Let me, I'll just write a check now.
I'll take your money.
I think the only thing, as we've said with all of these examples, I think the only thing you're missing is, clearly you're an engineer.
We don't have a marketing
and most people get lost in the details, and it's interesting, and we want to know. But I think you do need to explain how this would affect a person. You need that example. I think.
Yeah, I see that.
It's a nice story with the team behind the project as well, an international element. But I think you need. This is the person whose life is going to be changed and improved by this.
That's
to get people on board.
Good tip.
And also, you're using a microfunding model, and how does that resonate with a media story? Using first an open source and a microfunding model.
I think that it does. There is an element of it, but I'm thinking microfunding, crowdfunding. Again, what do I get out of it? Do I get to fly in the airplane?
You don't get a plane.
Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't get. That would be a good perk if you manage that.
Remember, I said equity crowdfunding. We're selling stock through that. Seeders,
So
it's going to turn into an ICO in about 2 months.
Yeah.
So 12 hours of flight time a day per coin.
Have we heard enough stories about ICOs, or is there still an appetite for those ICO stories?
Please.
I don't think by itself it doesn't add that much to the story. I think that we're at that stage where we've seen that. I think the experiential stuff would again be the thing to do. So if if I was flying the plane, then I would be able to tell that story as an experience.
I think one of the important points is that we've spent this time gaining the knowledge that we need to get to a certain point where we can actually move towards production. Most aerospace startups, you will have to do the prototyping, and that usually takes so much money and so much time. So we basically spent the time doing that, throughout. So.
Well, 44% of the audience would continue reading. There's an appetite by 25% to make it a movie. So what would you decide? Would you run with this story?
I would if I probably wouldn't do it straight off press release or something like that. I think if it was something that you had an event where I could go and look at the production line, ideally, fly or be near a flight, then again, that experience would feed a story that I could communicate. That would be my.
I think I'd need something. I'd struggle a little bit, but I think if I looked into it and spent a bit of time, I could find a story. But
I don't
maybe
understand
there's a Star Wars reference there for you.
Good night, everyone. I'm falling asleep. I can't believe
they
that.
don't know.
Right,
they don't know.
I would love to do a profile of the last 8 years. I think that's an amazing. Story, even beyond the product. Just that you've decentralized and built an aircraft with this team distributed as volunteers is amazing. And I would love to do a demo video of just having like a GoPro and putting the audience right into the cabin and saying like experience it live. Both of those would be great stories. So, yes.
Excellent.
Some assets.
Yes.
Well, we're out of time. Thank you so much for your audience participation. Thank you to our wonderful startups. And thank you also to our great judges. And enjoy your afternoon.
Yeah, before you leave the stage, I would love to say, Natalie, thank you very much for a marvelous job here on stage. She deserves it.
Thank you.
And of course, thank you, our media representatives. Thank you, Danny, Tom, and Alice for being here, providing good feedback. And maybe now some people will approach you during a conference and pitch their story. Good luck with that. All right, thank you very much. Give it up for them. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.